The modern workforce operates on a strict 60-year timeline. We are taught that human cognitive utility follows a predictable biological curve, rising in youth and inevitably decaying as we approach our 60s. This timeline is justified by the foundational doctrine of cognitive psychology, the dichotomy of fluid intelligence and crystallized intelligence. This chart shows the classical model. Fluid intelligence, your raw capacity to solve novel problems and think abstractly, supposedly peaks in your mid-20s. After that, it undergoes a sharp, linear decline. To offset this loss, the framework offers crystallized intelligence, your accumulated wisdom and expertise. According to the model, this capability rises steadily throughout adulthood, finally reaching its absolute peak late in life, between ages 65 and 75. Let's overlay 3 hard data points onto this theoretical timeline. Age 60, mandatory retirement in most jurisdictions. The 60s, average human mortality. Age 65 to 75, the claimed cognitive peak. Look at this empty space. The accepted psychological model dictates that human intelligence reaches its ultimate synthesis exactly 1 decade after individuals are forcibly removed from productive participation, and shortly after, the average person is dead. A scientific framework asserting that our cognitive peak occurs precisely when we are dead or forcibly retired demands scrutiny. It suggests we are looking at a systemic paradox rather than a biological reflection. In a 2026 structural analysis titled The Crystallized Intelligence Deception, independent researcher Hamza Abdullah documents a systematic examination of this framework. Abdullah's core assertion is that mandatory retirement policies function as an institutional control mechanism, moving beyond simple medical or biological necessity. This system is engineered to extract maximum cognitive output during early life, while systematically neutralizing individuals before they achieve the structural awareness to challenge it. Established cognitive psychology has provided an academic cover for this extraction cycle, masking a highly managed 60-year timeline of labor extraction. To understand the deception, we have to look at how psychologists claim crystallized intelligence is formed. It relies on investment theory, the premise that accumulated knowledge is actively generated by investing fluid intelligence into learning over time. This flowchart maps the theoretical investment. Processing speed, working memory, and fluid intelligence funnel downward, generating crystallized intelligence. But biologically, these inputs begin a steep, continuous decline at age 27. The math fails basic logic. How can a product accelerate when its creators degrade? Longitudinal research from Tucker Drob and colleagues in 2022 provides the empirical answer. Their study proves that fluid and crystallized abilities do not diverge. Rates of change across these cognitive traits actually share a 60% correlation. This means individuals who suffer the steepest declines in fluid intelligence also experience the worst outcomes in crystallized intelligence. The 2 types of intelligence rise and fall together. You cannot use a rapidly degrading fluid capacity to build a towering crystallized intellect. Investment theory requires an impossible biological mechanic. The supposed cognitive safety net that protects older workers in the classical model is a statistical myth. Without a biological safety net, the system relies on the compensation narrative. This academic theory claims that older workers use their accumulated job knowledge to compensate for slower processing, resulting in equal or superior job performance. To test this theory, look at the revealed preference of the free market, specifically the hiring practices of venture capitalist Peter Thiel. Thiel operates by a strict mandate: never hire anyone over 30. Top companies ruthlessly optimize for peak fluid intelligence. What then is the function of the 30 to 60 demographic? This period aligns perfectly with maximum economic dependency, mortgages, children, and inflexible specialized careers. These accumulated obligations lock the worker in place. With maximum debt and minimum career mobility, they are forced to accept their current employment terms, even as their raw cognitive output declines. The compensation narrative effectively masks a period of maximum economic dependency, providing a theoretical justification for extracting labor from a demographic that can no longer afford to walk away. There is, however, a complication. Monumental cognitive achievements do occur between the ages of 65 and 75, which seems to validate the idea of a late-stage crystallized peak. John B. Goodenough discovered the lithium iron phosphate cathode in his mid-70s. Claude Monet painted his monumental water lilies panels well into his 80s. Winston Churchill assumed his wartime leadership at 65. A structural analysis of these historical achievements reveals a single critical variable linking every one of them. 100% of these individuals operated outside the standard labor structure. They were self-employed artists, elected officials, or academics operating in systems entirely exempt from mandatory retirement. This exemption pattern proves that the capacity for profound cognitive synthesis at age 70 exists, but institutional barriers systematically prevent the general population from ever demonstrating it. To see what happens to the non-exempt population when they hit that barrier, we can look at the 28-year Whitehall II cohort study. The data shows that an individual's verbal memory declines 38% faster immediately after retirement. Forced economic exit also drives a 70%. It allows them to observe multi-decade economic cycles and recognize patterns that are invisible within shorter spans. This life cycle model aligns perfectly with the extracted data. Raw performance is captured early, utility is maintained while financially immobilized, and removed before the synthesis phase. This architecture creates one final consequence. Look at the documented pattern of placing pre-crystallized individuals, those under 40, into the highest societal decision-making roles. These individuals are young enough to follow existing paradigms and pursue financial incentives, but by definition, they haven't reached the age where cognitive synthesis and deep pattern recognition peak. By selecting for pre-crystallized intelligence in leadership and removing the late-stage synthesis phase from the workforce, the structure ensures its most critical decisions are made by those statistically least likely to have developed long-term cross-domain pattern recognition.